Good afternoon, everybody. And as again, I'll talk about few things which were pre and post. Okay, and one of my assumption was that I'll start from Bandra and reach here in half an hour. It still took me 45 minutes, 50 minutes to reach here. Okay, so today what I'll be talking about is AI ML based automations. I basically come from the biometric side of it, basically a statistician. So my focus will be on that, but I'll try to touch base on different aspects of AI ML which are transforming the pharma industry. I primarily work with a lot of global pharma, okay, and the global pharma colleagues. So I'll bring in the aspects of what global pharma are doing around this, okay, what are the opportunities, what are the things which are going around, and how from an India standpoint, okay, we can look at what is happening globally and how we can adapt to it, okay. Before starting on to this, I'll like to quote 2 or 3 examples. One is the T20 World Cup of cricket, okay, wherein while India, though a very pioneer in IPL and T20s, we were not able to make through, okay. And there is a post-factor discussion of we had old school of thought in opening our batting and all of it. You look at the current FIFA World Cup that is ongoing, okay. A lot of the teams like Germany, yesterday Spain was knocked out, okay. So a lot of these teams, Belgium, Germany, Belgium, the captain did say that their team is old enough to win the World Cup. Okay, so what I'm trying to bring in is this real life examples do teach us a lot of things, okay. There was the biggest teacher which was COVID, right? Prior to COVID, we have never imagined how pharma and clinical research can transform, okay. We had a definite way of doing things, but now we are changing. So what I'm trying to bring in is there's always a pre and a post to a lot of things, okay. From a pharmaceutical standpoint, I think COVID was a instance which is leading to a lot of transformations that we are looking around, and whatever I'll be talking through, I'll try to cite few examples around it and what is going to be the post and how do we want to react to it, okay. Just a disclaimer, okay. Quickly I'll move on to few of the key topics. Given I have 15 minutes, I'll touch base on few of the topics which are really getting hit by this AI ML concepts and people and companies who are experimenting something around it. Site feasibility and analytics, okay, a very big bucket, okay. Already there are organizations who are implementing tools to do it much more efficiently. Today we are in a position when you're going to start a trial, you exactly know which country, which site you want to go for which disease area. There is a huge database available. There are computational models available which are going to tell you where to target, what to target. It is not just at the start of it, but during the course of the trial, okay, these models are predicting that which are the sites you may want to shut down early, okay, which are the sites you may want to start recruiting more. So this entire site feasibility and analytics around this is completely changed today, okay. There are lots of papers around it, there are lots of articles around it. What we need to do is we need to read through it, okay, how AI ML concepts is transforming this entire bucket. Earlier we used to have huge feasibility teams, right? Just deciding on which sites we want to go, and it was driven a lot by the KOLs, the key opinion leaders, the investigators we know, the sites we know. It's all gone. Right now you have databases, you have the artifacts of which sites are going to do what, which disease areas we need to target where. So that is something which is completely getting transformed from an AI/ML standpoint, okay. We talk about DCTs a lot, okay. There was a conference of SCDM in Bangalore and there was a complete theme on DCTs, decentralized clinical trials, okay. It will have a lot of components wherein you are going to get the data, okay, from multiple sources, multiple formats remotely, okay. And this is also going to top up with your risk-based monitoring approach which FDA and EMA is embarking. So we are going into risk-based monitoring now. We don't want to 100% visit the sites and do the site data validation over there, right? All of this is going to call in for technologies which are proactively going to talk about the data that we are receiving, okay? How good that data is there any challenge around it? Without actually getting into the core data points, can it predict what you're going to see for a particular site, for a particular set of patients, for a particular set of traits? There are statistical monitoring concepts which are getting in place. Already few companies are having it. I know Roche for sure has a dedicated statistical monitoring team. Pfizer has a team around statistical monitoring. who are developing models to support this, because the moment we go in this era, okay, you need machines to tell you what are the sites which are at risk. We had key indicators early on. What we now need is more predictive analytics around it. Rather than looking at the data and telling, oh, this is what has happened, the ball has just switched over, okay? Rather than waiting for data to come in, can you tell me that looking at the trend, this site is going to pose a challenge, okay? So DCTs is one place wherein the implementation of AI ML is going to be pretty significant. Real world data, it's a fact. I don't think any of the organizations, okay, today, I'll not quote about Novartis, but almost all organizations are having at least some trials going around with real world data. They want a synthetic arm, they want an arm which is coming from real world data. Do we exactly know how it is going to operate? The answer is definitely no. But there are studies which are going around with this real world data. Okay, with the real world data, you land up with huge options of data available. How to drill down to specific patient population, how to drill down to specific disease areas, as well as even if you know the data, how to ingest that data with your mainstream. How are you going to compare it? Are that really comparable? Okay, a lot of deep learning models are going to be required over there. Okay, so when we talk of AML, it's not always about artificial intelligence and automation. It is also about digging the data deep and trying to make sense out of it. Okay, so real world data is one piece. I will talk about few of the standards which are around it and what companies are doing or what FDA or EMA stand is on that. But that is one piece wherein we have this deep learning algorithms which are required to dig deeper and get information around it. Okay. Pharmacovigilance, I think that's a very well-known field wherein the case processing, okay? Earlier it was all human-driven. I think earlier I used to work with TCS and we ourselves had a product which was completely AI/ML based. It had an algorithm in the background. We had a patented called as decision fabric, okay? So pharmacovigilance has already been transformed. Okay, so I really don't see like we will be doing the case processing manually going forward. So there are lots of companies having their tool from a pharmacovigilance standpoint wherein the basic level of case processing is completely standardized. Okay, we don't want to have earlier 2015, 16, 17, I know for one of the clients, we had around 800 folks working only for PV, only for pharmacovigilance, okay? Day in and day out, because there is a stringent timeline of 6 hours in a day, you have to complete this, this and this. That team has reduced to more than half now. One reason being, there are intelligent models which are going to do a lot of the asks which a human is doing. Is it, I'll come to a point whether it is the perfect model or not, because the domain that we work into, we need to be very critical about anything that machine is going to do. So it has to be assisted learning in most cases, but I'll come to it. But pharmacovigilance is one piece which AI/ML has literally transformed a lot. Okay, it has transformed a lot. I sit in the data operations and analytics area. I'll give you some examples, but definitely there is a dire need across pharma to see how this can be automated. Query raising. In data management, we do keep raising queries to investigators, right? That's a traditional way of doing things. Today we are talking about, can machine see the data and raise the queries intelligently, as well as proactively give signals around it. So nobody is now talking about, okay, the data comes in, we have edit checks are going to fire, somebody will look at it and raise a query. No. Pfizer has done couple of hackathons, okay? Pharma is one of the technology companies who is supporting them and working with them. And they have developed algorithms and models wherein they claim the query reduction, okay, the human involvement in raising the queries is going down by 60 to 70%, maybe more than that. And that's practical. If you look very logically and practically, ideally that should be the case, because you know the disease area, you know the CRF now, you know what you're going to collect, and you have a plethora of data existing for that disease area in your database, either residing in SAS datasets or in OC databases or in RAVE, right? So you have the intelligence. Why can't the queries be self-generated? More importantly, why can't the queries be stopped at the investigator level? So a lot of those discussions are happening. The challenges that are coming through now is, from a CRF-based data collection, okay, we are moving towards a lot of device data, third-party data. So the level of intelligence is going to increase over there. Apart from that, from a biometrics and data analytics standpoint, we are talking about, we do generate a lot of data sets, TFLs and all of it, okay? Is a human required to do all of those triggering, or the moment the data is in, there is an intelligent workflow available which understands for this therapeutic area, this endpoints, okay? This is what we by default do. And you don't have to wait for people to wait and say that, okay, this is completed, you now execute this. So those are the things which are getting completely addressed from AI/ML perspective. There are organizations like Pharma, I did speak about it, TCS, Accenture, you have SaaS of the world, who are into it, looking at how this can be made more and more efficient. Patient centricity, I think we all are aware. I think we were talking about supply chain and bots in the earlier session, okay? From patient centricity standpoint, there are smart pills, okay? Today, the compliance, though it may not be 100%, there is a huge debate around, can you measure compliance via machine-based technologies, okay? But the focus on patient centricity has multi-folded right now, okay? And all of these devices and the algorithms which are running on top of it are enabling to track your patients. Today, you exactly can guide the investigator on when the patient should visit, what is his next visit. You can send reminders, right? You can look at the pattern of the data that is coming through and tell the investigator that these are the challenges that are coming through. You can, in fact, for patient-reported outcomes, you can, in fact, have notifications to your patients, to your subjects, on when do they need to take the medication, when do they need to take the pill. So a lot of these things are happening from a patient centricity standpoint. And when you look at the background, it is a lot of machine learning models. It may not always be automations or artificial intelligence, but it is a lot of deep learning models, NLP techniques and other techniques which are sitting on top of it, which is making all of this enable. From organization standpoint, all of the global pharmaceutical companies, okay, are into it, okay? If you look at the counterparts in global, okay, whether you talk of Roche, they are experimenting something. Pfizer, they are heavily doing hackathons on AI/ML. They are promoting AI/ML left, right, and center. So they are very aggressive onto it. Novartis itself is doing few things on drug development, using some are real-world data concepts and AI concepts. Okay, technology landscape is completely changing. Today, any pharmaceutical company, while they are looking at their technology landscape, the key theme is how is AI/ML going to enable a lot of downstream. So that's where we are landing ahead with the clinical research aspect. I'll quickly go on few of the critical asks, okay, from the data operations standpoint. Okay, so one of the things is, can we do the faster setup of studies? Okay, can there be faster setup of studies? Can we speed up the entire setup process, which takes a lot of time today? Okay, a very critical question, and this is going to be practical. Okay, looking at the way companies are implementing and transforming the workflows, can there be a real-time data access? So the data comes in and it is directly available. Can the analysis be done by a workflow rather than humans sitting and doing it? For adverse event, vital signs, a lot of standard analysis. You don't need humans, to be very frank. It is the way we are doing it, what I was talking about pre and post. It is the way in which we are doing things, but we need to change it now, because machines can take over all of those. Standard reports again. This is critical thing, okay, data interoperability and warehousing. Given the current arena wherein you are having a lot of third-party data coming in, a lot of device data coming in, a lot of data that is third-party, because gone is the time when we had CRFs as the major source. Over a period, CRFs are going to reduce and you are going to rely on device data, real-world data and all of it, okay? The biggest challenge that is going to come through is, how is it going to come together? Now, when we want it to come together, they don't want it to be, again, human-driven. There has to be intelligent algorithms which will understand the data intuitively, do a probabilistic match and say, okay, this fits under vitals, this fits under lab, this appears to be an adverse event data to me, okay? Are we there? No, but that is one of the critical asks which is there in play. Standards management and automation. So standardization is one thing which companies are talking. Without standards, None of the AI ML concepts are going to be practical because you want the machine to learn. You want the model to learn. The model will learn based on data. Okay, and the more standardized data it is, the better learning will be there. I'll skip this. Few of the key points which I can talk about basis my interactions with global counterparts. Can regulators have real-time access to data? Today we don't give them. There are few trials, okay, there are few expedited trials which Roche is doing, Pfizer is doing, wherein the data is shared with FDA real time. Okay, those are all fast-track trials. Definitely during COVID, what Pfizer did was on similar grounds, okay, wherein the data comes in, we have a workflow in place, and FDA can access the data, EMA can access the data real time. Why isn't it possible today? Because there's nothing to hide. The domain we are into, there's nothing to hide. It is just the way in which traditionally we are doing things sequentially. Okay? The data comes in, we clean it, we analyze it, we massage it, we standardize it, we submit it. No, I think that's definitely not what future is going to hold for us. Okay? Why do medical writers and clinical teams wait for statistical programmers, statisticians to give them output? Adverse event, can't they generate it? It's already existing, right? So this all should be driven by workflow and intelligent way of identifying my study design, disease area, my endpoints, and basis what is there in the data, outputs are already there. Medical writers can click and they get it. There are so many reporting tools which can enable this straight away. Okay, there are concepts around graphical databases. I'll not go into the technology aspect of it, but graphical databases are going to basically enable all of this. But a lot of pharmaceutical companies are doing away with traditional way of reporting things. They are trying to make the data and the algorithms intelligent. So basis the endpoint, secondary endpoint, safety measures that we are doing, everything will be readily available for the medical writers. Metadata repository, I'll not talk, these are more to do with standards, I will skip this section, but this is one of the key enablers which is there for making all of the standards happen, not existing as of today, okay? And then as I've spoken about, I think earlier also we heard about it, we need to have a lot of these bots which are tied together in a workflow which enables without human intervention, execution of things, basis the data, basis the intelligence that is there within the data, rather than humans executing it and generating some standards things which we are doing for years and ages. How is the organizations which are supporting, okay, which are the standard organizations which are going to enable? CDISC is one of the organizations, not sure if everyone is aware of it. This is one of the groups who defines global standards for submissions. What are the global standards that we need to comply to? And one of the things which I of late talk is from an India standpoint, when we look at the trials today, we don't do India specific, right? The trials that we are doing, our futuristic aim is that they are going to be submitted to few of these health authorities outside of India. So the moment we take that stand, CDISC is the default for submission. Even if you want to go to PMDA, Chinese FDA, EMA, FDA, we need to have data in CDISC format, okay? So that's becoming a norm of late, okay? Fuse, this is another group which is creating a lot of standards which are enabling this automations. So this is another global group which is into it. In fact, there are a lot of global pharma, so there are few groups which are set up by global pharma heads, technology, biometrics, and I'm pretty sure with pharmacovigilance and others, there will be others also. And they are part of this organizations and they are defining the futuristic standards, that what this industry is going to do, okay? Fortunately, unfortunately, from an India standpoint, I don't see right now a lot of representation over there, but that is where we need to move ahead with, okay? That is where we need to move ahead with. Translate, pretty sure most of the people are aware. We speak about this digital data flow right from the protocol to the CSR, okay? Translate is enabling it, okay? Right from the protocol concepts till the CSR concepts, they are enabling it. They are working along with HL7, they are partnering with CDISC, they are partnering with other companies. There's a lot of stake from global pharma. I'm pretty sure Pfizer is leading a lot of initiatives into it, Roche is leading, Novartis is part of it. They are supporting this particular piece to ensure that we are creating digital concepts for everything that we are doing. Traditionally, we had those templates. We need to move away from templates and make them semantic. Okay, the moment we make them semantic, it will be machine readable. The moment it is machine readable, whatever I have spoken earlier can be enabled. And we are heading towards it. It is just that how soon can we go there? Okay, how soon can we go there? Typically, the domain and the industry we are in, we are not very, very averse to change. So we take time to changing ourselves. Okay, but I think it's the time now. Real world data. We speak about real world data, but there is no global standard for real world data. OMOP is one, which seems pretty good, but then OMOP is one, HL7 is talking of something else, CDISC is now collaborating with OMOP to do something. Okay, so why I'm bringing all of this is, these are the global concepts which are going to create the platform for this AI ML executions. You cannot have AI ML triggered in without having all of this. You cannot have a machine learning things without standardizing or without coming to a common platform. So there are global groups which are doing it. As a pharma industry within India, definitely we need to be aware of all of this. We need to be on these platforms whenever we get an opportunity around it. Whether it is to do with patient centricity, whether it is to do with site level automation, or whether it is to do with data or submissions. Okay, somewhere we need to have groups who know this, who are sitting into these global forums and bringing it back to us also. So this is something that will be changing the way in which we deliver things in future. Key three pillars which I always think is, one is domain expertise. Without the knowledge that we have in this room, okay, it's not possible. Technology partner, a very key player, okay, a very key player. AI ML concepts, the biggest risk with AI ML is you can make it learn, but if you want it to unlearn, it's going to be much more difficult, because that is the more data you need to push it. So we need to be very cautious. People just talk AI ML at a fly and say, oh, chutki baja ke it will happen. No, it doesn't happen like that. Okay, so if you want something to happen, because it works on, it works on probabilities, it works on some statistical models. If your data is not good, your model is going to learn something wrong. And if you want it to unlearn those things, it's going to take a huge data again. It's going to take a huge data. So whoever is our technology partner into it, I like the model which Pfizer implements. They have partnered with a couple of companies and they are heavily investing. They are heavily investing and they are seeing good results. I see their investment going on for the last 3-4 years, pre-COVID itself. Okay, and all of the solutions have to cater to the end user. Okay, otherwise we create fancy solutions, and if it is not going to cater to end user, it's all waste. I can tell you out of 10, 9 solutions don't work because end users are not accepting it. It is very cumbersome to the end user, and you say it's AI ML, and at the end of the day, you put 20 people correcting AI ML. It's ridiculous. Pharmacovigilance started with like that. Okay, you say case processing automated ho jayega, and then you have 20, 50 people sitting and correcting what was gone wrong. It's ridiculous. So I think it has to work together. You can't just isolate this. One of the critical aspects which I would like to flag is, it's good to talk of AML, it's good to talk of automations. The domain where we are into, we hit patients, we hit human lives, right? So as leaders, we need to be really judicious. Is AI/ML required everywhere? People just talk about it. It may not be required. There might be plain scientific knowledge which is required. Okay, so we have to be cautious about it. We should not land up that you implement AI/ML and then you have hundreds of people correcting that model. It's pretty funny. You are now slaves of machines, right? And it happened. I'm telling you, there are examples wherein PV automations have gone wrong and there are hundreds of people cleaning up those automations. So that's, you're becoming slave of this technology and slave of the machine. So be very cautious on what we really need to achieve, okay? Few last pointers that I'd like to highlight is, one thing, are we aware of all of the standards and AI/ML concepts happening globally? I think as organizations, we should be. We need to have groups who are focusing on it, on what the industry is doing. And are we really going towards that? Do we? Second thing is like Pfizer, okay? They invested in it. Are we investing ourselves into it? Are we willing to fail? Not every company is going to go there, okay? So it's a individual company's approach. I know how Novartis takes a stand, how Pfizer takes a stand, and how Roche is taking a stand. So few people may want not to get into it because we are not clear. We have different focus good enough, but have that clarity. Just don't jump into it without having appetite of failure. Then how closely different stakeholders work together, okay? Very important, do we have a right technology partner? Very, very critical for this. Again, as a pharma, I always retain that we are there to develop drug, we are scientific, we should not develop product, okay? We should have a technology partner, solid technology partner who will develop products for us. If a pharma starts becoming a technology company developing products, I think then the focus has to be very, very clear. Then you need to set up the organization or the group within the company in such a way that they're product driven. It's not that we can't do it, but we clearly need to know where we want to really go. Okay, and how open are we for the collaboration? Because this one company can't do it, okay? It has to be collaborative. And the good part is, at least in global, I see a lot of collaboration. I spoke about Translate, I spoke about automations on the data management checks, I spoke about pharmacovigilance. J&J, Pfizer, they come to one platform and they are talking about solutions. So I think this is happening. Okay, from an India standpoint, I don't know whether we do a forum where we just talk about what do we want to next and how can we collaborate more on few of the novel concepts around technology and automation. With this, I think I'll stop and I'm okay to take any questions.